You're listening to Success Stalkers Radio, episode number 11 with Chris Arsenault. Welcome to Success Stalkers Radio. I am your host, Iona Garrett. People all over the globe are rewriting the rules to success. They're making money and changing the world. Join me Monday through Friday as I interview today's top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and entertainers that will leave you inspired to take action and achieve success on purpose. Are you ready? Let's dive right in. Okay, Success Stalkers, let's get started. I am simply thrilled to introduce our guest today, Chris Arsenault. Chris, are you ready to stalk some success today?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to share and where I've been, and I'm excited about it all.
Outstanding. Well, Chris is a professional golfer, motivator, community leader, entrepreneur, educator, philanthropist, ambassador, spokesperson, and catalyst. He's also CEO and founder of the Darby Foundation, whose mission is to create exposure and lifelong learning and fun in the world of golf for our youth. He's received more than 15 awards and nominations as it relates to golf, community service, and leadership, and many more. And Chris was also named one of the most amazing men by Southern University in USL in Louisiana, where he attended. So, Chris, I've given our listeners just a little overview. So take a minute, tell us about you personally, because we want to get to know you. Then give us an overview of your success path.
Well, I guess the easiest way to start is basically start from the beginning. I was a little kid growing up in Louisiana with a dream. I watched men on the opposite side of the fence of the golf course, and I said, this is what I want to do. And I watched them both black and white, nice colors, and, all the fluorescent olive colors, greens and blues. And I also saw some women, but it was more dominated by men. And I was that little kid driving, watching them, like a ball hawk, like a predator, waiting for them to hit the ball over. I never had a dream or a goal of playing the game. But from that point, I didn't realize there were doctors, lawyers, engineers, entrepreneurs, all on the other side of that fence. And they had a smile on their face. There was something that was captivating to me. And I said, man, what is that? And here's a little kid, from a single mom with 6 kids. Father had passed away, and, and really, didn't really know what I really wanted to do. And one day, I guess I was just feeling lonely. And I'd been going through some challenges as a kid. Very good kid, never, no trouble, just a quiet kid, all to myself. And when my father passed away, it really, pushed me down, and it was very hurtful for me because I didn't really have that figure around the house in the community. So my brother-in-law kind of picked up that place. But getting into that part where I was doing my neighbor's lawn one day, and he when I finished doing his lawn, he gave me a glass of lemonade, and I walked in drinking the lemonade, getting ready to put down, and I saw a golf club, and in the corner, and I grabbed it up and started swinging in the air. And he said, "Wait a minute, you're going to break a light fixture, or a lamp." I said, "Hold on." And in the ashtray of his table, his coffee table, he had 7 golf balls. So he said, "You can have these and that ball in these golf club." And he showed me how to hold it and everything. And that's how my love from that game got, because the club hit my hand at that time, and I just fell in love. But little did he know, my backyard faced his front of his house. So he worked 7 on, 7 off, all field. So when he came back, he had every window broken on the front of his house. Boy, was I in trouble. So my mom, we lived on Louisiana Avenue, Pershing Street, right in that area, right, block from the golf course. And my mom said, "That's it. You got to go and meet your uncle." From that point now, I was able to get on the inside of the fence, and I watched all these individuals because I was on the outside, and now I got a chance to be on the inside. And that's where my introduction to the game, led me meeting all these individuals: Ron Guidry, Shirley Picard, Leslie Picard, Earl Picard, Dalton Boutin, Roland Malvo, all these individuals that had played, and I didn't realize it because I only knew my uncle played the game, but I had no interest or desire until my neighbor that gave me that club. From that day, my uncle, and the late B.J. Johnson, Floyd Andrews and B.J. Johnson, took me out to a big barrel of clubs and assembling me a set of clubs, and that day I had my the game that saved my life because crack was hitting the street at that time. And it was, running rampant, on that point now. I always had the dream. I would sit in the clubhouse and listen to all these dreams about the guys that would travel the world and the stories about everybody. And I just started daydreaming many times I would just fantasize and just think about one day I'm going to leave and do so. I would be reading magazines, and I shared this article sometime, magazine about my life, what I would picture what it would be. And my mom said to me, keep reading. My mom said, dream that dream. You can be like that kid in the magazine. And it's so touching, to my heart, because she said, dream that dream, and you can be like that person in the magazine. And I was looking on the inside of the magazine. I didn't think I was ever making a front cover. So I'm being written out now. As I just made the front cover back in American Golfers Digest. I'm being written about in Singapore and Brazil. I'm in all the American Airlines arena, American Airline VIP section. You turn on one page is Paris Hilton, the next page I'm there. So, several other magazines and being written about all. But here's a young man that never had, they had to walk away from a scholarship, as I was explaining to you earlier. I had, when I went to Southern University through high school, I did all this great work in playing golf, and I got scholarship opportunities that came, but I never had a pull. So I had to go there, the first semester to prove myself. And then that week, within 1 week or 2 weeks, I received 2 phone calls. One from my future coach telling me that, you're in compliance, you got an opportunity, the scholarship here for you. And the next week I received a phone call from my mom telling me she couldn't pay her rent. So I was faced with a most, tough, life-changing decision. The thing that I had dreamed of was gone. So I left from Southern University after that first year and came home. And this is where my whole life just went like, what am I doing, Lord? I'm working night receiving at Walmart on Johnson Street, going to school during the day at the USL, popping revivings to stay alive, to stay awake, trying to help mom pay her bills and everything. So which one do you do?
Right.
The job became more overwhelming. They made me a manager, and and the next I moved from night receiving to day because I couldn't do the job. I couldn't go to school anymore. It was just too much. I was, you can't live on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. You just couldn't do it. I don't care if you're at what age, you just can't do it. So the bills became overwhelming. So it was just, from that point now, it allowed me the opportunity to move to New York and pursue my dream on another level.
Well, Chris, we're going to dive way into your journey a little later in our interview, but before we do, we always like to start Success Stalkers Radio off with a success quote to really get that motivational ball rolling. So take it away.
I say one of the quotes I would share, I think one of the ones I share with today, we're all going to be leaders at one time, but at the same time, we got to take what we're learning and teach it to others. And I think that's the most, in a nutshell, that quote that I pressed today, because I have a future event coming. So that quote right there, I think, which signifies my life. I've been able to pass the baton on to the next individual.
Well, that leads me to the next segue. That's great, because I was going to ask you to give us an example of how you've been able to apply that same mantra and that quote to your journey, along your journey.
I think the number one thing is action. Many people have an intent or an idea of what they want to do, but they don't apply action. That's been one of my things that sets me apart across everybody. Everybody has some idea, some dream, some goal, some desire, some imagination, something, some thought, but they never apply action. And that's the point, because of fear. They're scared. Somebody's going to talk about me. I'm going to fail. So all those things come up.
That's awesome. I can certainly relate to that. I know surely what it felt like to just be afraid of almost everything when I was pretty much growing up, and and especially as an entrepreneur, and I know it can be really daunting at times, and it just seems like you just have an opportunity to fear everything, but you have to keep going. And the next thing is, here at Success Stalkers Radio, it's all about the journey, the story. We really like to dive deep into the story and the journey. But we want to focus first and foremost on a failure. I want you to take us back to a time where you pretty much fell flat on your face, and just take us there and let us be right there with you. And then share with us some lessons that you learned from it.
I would say one of the things that hit me like a Mack truck was having a contract, getting ready to, multi-million-dollar contract. I dreamed about this whole thing, like I was telling you a minute ago. Fast forwarded, I'm in New York, prayed about this, worked for it, the desire's all there, and then I get the contract, and there's no money. And that right there, I had to hit the road. I went on tour with no funding. I had to sleep in a car. It was just horrible. I can't imagine a tour player that's going out there playing tennis or basketball sleeping in their car because they had no funding for because if you stayed in a hotel, you didn't have money to eat or travel. So
Right.
those challenges that that you have to pick up yourself and say, okay, I got to do something about this. Forget about everybody else. What I'm going to do, and that's what the point. Looking at your logistics.
Wow. Wow. And so some lessons that you learned from that. What would you say you actually learned from that whole
That
experience?
we're stronger than we think. We're stronger than we think, and of course, that's when you're out there. You remember you're here as a young kid leaving from Louisiana. That left all my family and friends behind, and now I'm on the road. It's even worse now because I don't know anybody out there. I'm walking into an event trying to qualify in the U.S. Open qualifier, or moving into in an arena that I know no one. I'm out of my comfort zone. So those things there,
Right. What courage.
you gotta be courageous, and it's all self motivation too. But the one thing right now, if you're able to still stand tall in the midst of the rain, the storm, of everything, you're gonna make it. And that's what's been good for me, because I've withstand all the different things. You imagine a tree going through all the different environments in the cold weather. A tree has to withstand everything.
You're absolutely right about that. You are absolutely right. Well, let's go forward, and as we transition to the other end of the spectrum, the aha moment, the light bulb moment. Because just like, you've had lessons that you've learned from failures, you've also had some amazing ideas, through your journey. And that has, helped you to become successful. So just tell us one of those, Chris, one of those aha moments that you can remember. And remember, this is a story. We want you to take us there. We want to be right there with you on the ground level, during this time in your life when you had this aha moment or this light bulb moment, and tell us some steps that you took, to turn that light bulb moment into success.
Usually put and usually said, we all have a product, but how do we get that product to the shelf or to the street? Golf, I would say, where the numbers are against us, the numbers don't lie. I mean, you turn on the television, you see what it is. That's exactly what it is. But with that being said, not using it as any excuse or anything, but I had to figure out a way how to get my product into the schools, into the community. So I started off with a one-man show in every church, every community, in schools. So I said, wow, I'm having success, but it's not enough. So I had to start taking on hosting career days. So it gave me control of what was able to come into the schools and what was able to, set up. So I was able to get golf into schools, and now it's a phenomenon. So with that being said,
Wow.
that idea of action has taken it now to where I'm getting ready to launch in 2 weeks, the Global Career Empowerment Summit, which is going to be major, which will be hitting Louisiana and hitting Louisiana, Hempstead, New York, Queens, New York, and we're going to be doing an opening gala. Now, not only that, I'm bringing the best of the best to the table. So that aha moment, light bulb from that action, built the momentum to what it is now, where it's going global.
Wow,
not only just for
that's
kids,
awesome.
but also adults, where I've received the lessons
Adults.
from the Department of Economics, asking me to have their people that's on social service be a part of the program because they're looking for jobs. So this is going to teach people with jobs, entrepreneurship. So what I was doing on the school has magnified on many more levels. But I had to have that experience. I had to have the courage to take it into the schools. And, everything today is about, everything has to point to something. And your ideas continue to span. You may have your hands on it, but just kind of keep going back to the drawing board. Keep massaging it. Keep changing your approach. That is key. Action and changing your approach. That is the key to success.
That's good stuff right there. That is good stuff. Well, let's shift for just a minute because I want to shine the spotlight on you, my friend. So just share with us one of your proudest entrepreneurial moments.
Wow. I think starting off with the pain side and then moving into the great part is when I didn't get accepted into the teaching program of golf. It broke my heart. And my mentor grabbed me. He said, "What are you doing? Why you got your head down?" He said, "This is a platform for you to go and change this whole world. Remember, you're a little kid that was sitting in the clubhouse at 12 years old, listening to all these individuals, and now here's the world is your stage right now to go and put it all." And I explained to you earlier, it's been a very painful and tearful journey, the rejections, but I kept picking myself up. So with that being said, is when I incorporated the Darby Foundation, was the best thing ever that I could ever do. But not only that, I named it after my father. He never got a chance to see my success. So as an honor, I do things with honor and respect and loyal and courageous and courteous. And I think about if my father was here, what would he want to see? He wanted to see me doing this. So It's his honor that I set up the Darby Foundation. It's not Chris Arsenault. It's not Chris Arsenault Foundation. It's called the Darby Foundation. And not only has it been a phenomenon, this little kid out of Louisiana with a dream that's in New York City now.
That is just a beautiful story. It's just incredible. And I know this is so inspiring to so many of our listeners because it's certainly inspiring me. Well, we both have been entrepreneurs for quite some time, and we both know the roller coaster of emotions that, that sometimes we can experience on a daily basis. And, one day you can be up, and then within the next 24 hours, you're frustrated and sometimes ready to quit, which, like you just explained a few minutes ago. So tell us how you keep your focus on a daily basis that, to keep that end result in mind each day. What do you do?
I think you have to have your goal written in front of you, in your pocket, on your website, on your wall. You have to be playing it in your mind every day. Winners are always thinking about how to win. And if you think about winning, you will win. If you think about being successful, you will be successful. But if you listen to that old thing that you're going to amount to nothing, you can become that too. But anything you think, you can become. So one of the things for me, my daily routine is poetry, reading poetry. Not only just reading it, but sharing it with the world. Uplifting, motivation, spiritual, the good book,
right.
And thinking about the David and Goliath stories. Those things there are, everything that we're dealing with is not a failure. It's a part of our development. We have to understand that. It's a part of my development. And when my stage is ready, when it's time for those Hollywood lights to hit on me, I need to be ready. You can't sit there and, I'm going to get the lights on me. I didn't get ready. No, you have to be prepared every day because you don't know when you're going to get that phone call or meet that individual or sit with someone that can help you take your dreams to the next level.
You're absolutely right because, I feel that same way because, I had to prepare myself even before I started this podcast, Success Talkers podcast. Each day I had that dream, and I'm going to share that story a little bit later, on another episode. But being prepared, I had to be prepared for this opportunity, when it came. So, I had vision boards and, all those things you mentioned. I did that, on a daily basis. I had the index cards and put my goals on those and kept them in my purse or my wallet, wherever I went. And I also had a mentor that kept me accountable to those things too. So it's so important. And I heard you mention that you had a mentor. So tell me a little bit about your mentor.
Well, I remember wow, so tough for me to say that because it makes me almost tear up when I think about what he told me. I was going through some most tremendous time. Having the success. You imagine coming home and receiving the key to the city and still not getting respect and still not getting the funding and the support that you need. It's very tough. Martin Luther King Award, every possible award that's out there I've received. Unless now the next thing I think is the White House, President Obama or somebody calling me or one of these big,
Yes.
So I say that to say this, that he grabbed me. He said, "What do you really want to do?" And he screamed in my ear. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I just want to help people." He said, "That's it. Focus on what you're doing and forget about everything else. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Chris, you're in the game. The coach will call you when you think and believe you're ready. But you gotta be ready. What is it that you really want to do?" So that's what I share with everybody. Find out what you want to do. Go crazy. Lose your mind. Let them all talk.
Oh my gosh, I tell you, I am just so loving this interview right now. So next I want to do is if you can, just share with us a little bit about some of your latest projects. I know you have so many things going on. You kind of touched on a little bit a few minutes ago, but what's one thing that's really exciting you right now in your business?
The number one thing right now for me is the Global Career Empowerment Summit and Institute that we're launching in the next 2 weeks. You'll be seeing a press release or something out of that very soon. That's going to focus on entrepreneurship, setting up a platform for these individuals that may have the skills but may not have the resources and contacts. So we're going to start from the A to Z. It starts with a 3-day empowerment. We're going to be using the platform to the churches, and then we open it up with an empowerment segment with some other celebrity guests, and then we move into the workshops all through the event. And then the end of it we have what's called a living room experience, recapping and utilizing, having the vendors there as well, speaking about leadership. That's the summit that goes from place to place. The other part is the sustainability, which is called the Global Career Empowerment Institute, that runs around the clock, helping people with jobs, doing recaps on meetings, helping people get the skill sets and everything they need, how to dress, how to talk, how to speak. All those things are important. So I started thinking about everything that I can do. And I said, this is bigger than golf. So I'm standing before God last year and said, okay, tears in my eyes. I don't understand this. I've done everything you asked me. He said, and then he sent me back to go and put this together.
Well, I'm really looking forward to getting more information on that. And, you know, especially when you guys get here to Louisiana, I definitely want to be a part of that, you know, however I can. So, yeah, we'll definitely be talking again about that. So, so what was it that held you back from the beginning, from becoming an entrepreneur in the beginning?
I think fear was number one, then thinking that I can do it. And it was my mentor that told me, you know, you can do it. And he'll be there for me. Just by me sharing that one thing, I knew that he was going to be there to support me along the way, because he had made millions of dollars himself. So he helped me with that fear, and what I thought I didn't have, I had, because I had been doing it all my life, but I just needed to line my words up with my action. Fear, wisdom, and knowledge.
Good. And what is the best advice you've ever received?
Well, as my mentor telling me to set up this foundation, and it would be a stage for me to use my drive, my determination, my skills, my talents, and gifts to be a blessing. And also the number one thing, like I said before, is taking action. That is the number one thing that helped me move forward.
And can you share one of your daily personal habits that you believe that attributes to your success? Just one personal habit.
One is a good book, and of course the other I would add is poetry and quotes.
Okay, good. All right. And Chris, do you have an internet resource or a business tool that you can share with our listeners, something that you use on a daily basis?
My website is what I use. You know, I put a lot of stuff in my community page, but I'm on Instagram. I post a lot of motivational things, but my core piece has been John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, people like that, and Brian Tracy, individuals I can tap into. So I would encourage everybody to, you know, dive into those things and, you know, fill yourself up with positive things and cover yourself, you know, like Teflon, you know, because, you know, a lot of negative things that we deal with daily, it'll help you, you know, break through that core.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads me to my next question. What book would you recommend to our listeners?
I would say As a Man Thinketh and The Game of Life. And of course, the good book would say, I mean, it's very tough to get. The David and Goliath story is probably the most inspiring thing about using what he has and himself, although he was, you know, dealing with a giant.
Well, hearing your journey was just truly inspiring, Chris. And, you know, let's end this with you giving our Success Stalkers listeners one parting piece of guidance and sharing the best way that they can find you. And then we'll say goodbye.
I would say dream big dreams, go for it. Believe in yourself. And the number one thing is taking action. You can do it. You got to believe in yourself. And if you can reach me directly on my website, you can follow me there at www.darbyfoundation.org. And you also can reach me by email at info@darbyfoundation.org.
Good deal. Well, Chris, our listeners, they can also find the links to everything that we've been chatting about today at successstalkers.com/Chris Arsenault, and all those show notes will be there. Everything that we discussed today, and they'll be able to go back and listen to the interview. And we just appreciate your transparency today and for being so generous with your time. And we say thank you. And for everyone out there listening, keep stalking success. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Success Stalkers Radio. If you'd like to hear more from these inspiring entrepreneurs and entertainers, be sure to subscribe to the Success Stalkers Radio podcast on iTunes. And if you found value in this episode, give us a review, hopefully 5 stars. You may also visit us at successstalkers.com. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you.